looking for the best in news? It's so good to be with you this morning on Insights. My name is Lawrence Omoete. Welcome to the program on Citizen FM 93.7. The last 48 hours have been busy, especially for professionals in the media industry. From reporters to editors, producers, and everyone in the news value chain. They have been part of this hustle. From politics to business to sport, entertainment, there has never been a dull moment in our political space. Events are unfolding, some would say, at the speed of light. On Insight today, we will analyze a few of these developments, and my guest in the house is Amadine Uyi, who is the Bureau Chief, News Central, and is also the head of Northern Operations. Amadine, good to have you on the show.
Thank you once again, Lawrence.
Yes, we are still expecting our colleague Bode Gbadebo. I'm sure he's on his way. Bode is online editor with the Leadership newspapers. But if you can hear me or if you're listening to us, we are still expecting you in the studio. Yes, you can be part of the show by joining our live stream on YouTube. Type in Citizen FM 93.7. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937, and also on X at Citizen FM 937. And by 10:30 we will open the phone line so you can be part of the show. Okay, my producer says that the phone lines are open. Maybe due to popular demand, we will take calls from the beginning of the show. So you can be part of the show as we go on 0903 2229 797. You can also call us on 0818 2222 205 or 0818 222206. Any of those numbers, you can send us a WhatsApp message on any of the numbers. Let us know where you're writing in from, and we will read out your message. Once again, we are looking at unfolding current development in and around Nigeria and around the world, whatever it's happening. That is news concerning Nigeria, pertaining to Nigeria, or Nigerians, or affecting Nigerians. We will look at them on this show. Once again, welcome to the show. My name is Lawrence Omoete, and my guest is Amadine Uyi. Amadine, once again, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right, Amadine, straight up, let's go out of the country briefly before we come back. In the last couple of weeks, our president has been around several places. He was in Saudi Arabia, he was in Guinea, and is currently in Germany now. And from reports, we can see some of the benefits already in power, in technology, ICT. And the current one, even yesterday, was the deal with cement and everything. And a lot of Nigerians are becoming very optimistic. I'm sure you share this.
Okay, I think in terms of Mr. President being the chief marketer of Nigeria, I think I will score him very highly, because he has, in the last few weeks and few months, he has not wasted any opportunity that has presented itself through a lot of these international gatherings and summits which has held. And you will observe that right from even before the UN General Assembly, he has all been at the forefront, championing Nigeria, selling Nigeria. Now, the recent agreement which you said is a plus, because we all know that Germany is a leader when you talk of renewable energy. In fact, at a point in time, they started trying to switch off their nuclear power plants because they had gone advanced so much in terms of providing electricity through renewable energy. There were times that there was a time there were even rumors and reports. We didn't bother verifying it because it was not in Nigeria that at a point in time the German government was even paying people to consume extra electricity. We don't know how true it is, but that report was very popular on social media. Now, my own thinking about such kind of report only tells you how much they have achieved in terms of renewable energy, not how true the information is, because you need to get to a certain level, a certain pedestal before those kind of things are said about you. Now that agreement has been signed, already there is a project ongoing with Siemens. We hope the president will also review that project and look at bottlenecks affecting speedy delivery of that project, so that in the shortest possible time, because experts have correlated that they've been able to draw a correlation that there can be no development without stable power and energy. So once there is stable power and energy, you see how much in the last few months that South Africa, they've been having energy challenges. You see automatically the economy has shrunk because of a few days ago we heard that MultiChoice are losing over $1 billion, and they have attributed it to the energy challenges in South Africa. And so we see that you cannot develop as an economy if you don't settle or sort your energy challenges. The problem with that is that energy is not something you just put money and bring out of your pocket. There has to be construction of infrastructure. There have to be assembly of large power transmitters and power transformers to be able to improve transmission. So we are hoping that now that the president is tackling these issues at its roots, that in the shortest possible time we'll be able to begin to see results as a nation. Because like I always say, soon Nigerians will run out of patience. And the excuses his team are giving citizens will no longer be tenable or acceptable.
All right, Amadine, let's come back home. A lot has been happening in the local scene. When I mean local scene in Nigeria, let's look at the judiciary. A lot has been happening. As at last count, 4 sitting governors are on the verge of losing out. Nasarawa, Kano, Zamfara, and even Plateau. And this has generated a lot of controversy. Let's start from Zamfara. How did you see that judgment in Zamfara?
Now, Zamfara was not totally losing. I will not say the court totally removed him. The court mandated that the election should go and be conducted
in a few local governments.
Yes, in a few local
three
local governments. But law, I am glad we are looking at this issue, because we Nigerians have not been fair to ourselves. We must tell ourselves, are we ready to subscribe for democracy? And when I mean subscribe for democracy, we obey the rules and tenets of democracy.
Whether it favors us or not.
Yes, whether it favors us or not. Because you see people come out to say they are pundits, they are experts, they cast aspersion on the judiciary, but they have refused to say what exactly is the problem. When you ascribe to democracy, you tell yourself that there must be 3 arms, which is the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Why the executive implements and are supposed to be the poster boy of any administration. The legislature are supposed to make laws. They don't implement the laws. They make laws for the good of the citizens, and then the judiciary interprets those laws. That means there must be fairness in every process, so that if anybody disagrees, you resort to the judiciary to try and interpret the laws that were supposed to be broken. And the judiciary interprets these laws based on available facts and evidence, not on social media campaign, not based on emotions, not based on sentiments, on the popularity, on the strength, political strength of any opponent, based on evidence provided. I have seen people accuse the judiciary that in fact, someone said it that is a judicial something of elections. No. Let us tell ourselves the gospel truth. The judiciary must play his rules as far as his role as far as there are disagreements. Except you want to return back to the military rule where they give fiat, they issue fiats and orders, and nobody can challenge it. But as long as we have subscribed to democracy, we must understand that the judiciary must take its course as long as there are disgruntled elements and disagreements. Secondly, I will go back to the political class. Unfortunately, INEC has become the whipping boy. Every atrocity committed, Nigerians shout INEC. INEC has its own electoral act and there are laws guiding INEC's conduct. INEC cannot force political parties to ensure internal party democracy. When they disobey or try to use the strongman tactic, the Godfather tactic, the politicians have to resort not to INEC but to the courts. When the political class hire youths to go and carry ballot boxes during elections, I don't understand how it now becomes the problem of INEC. When INEC does not control a police formation or control the military, they are just an agency of government. So if the police fail or the military fail, what happens? Everybody blames INEC for a problem they did not start, a problem they do not have control over, and a problem they can do nothing about. Now look at the recent court judgments. People are whining and crying, and I ask, why are you whining and crying? Is it the first time this kind of judgment have come forth in Nigeria's democracy or in our elections? Let us go back to memory lane. Once upon a time, a court in Zamfara felt that the All Progressives Congress did not conduct primaries according to laid down rules, and they told the governor-elect that you are not going to sit down, your party does not have any candidate, and he went to an opposition party, and everybody shouted victory for democracy. Now the same court have looked at cases like Plateau and said that the same thing that happened, you did not conduct primaries according to laid down laws, because conducting primaries is one thing, conducting it according to laid down rules, according to the constitution, because you must have a constitution before you are registered as a political party. It says out of 17 local governments, we told you to go and conduct 17, you conducted only in 5. Therefore, that candidate cannot be. And everybody are shouting, the judiciary, what has the judiciary done? What have the judges done? The judges looked at the merit of the case. I remember a few weeks ago we were talking about the Supreme Court judgment for the Presidential Election Tribunal. Unfortunately, many Nigerians do not read these court judgments. The moment the pronouncements are made, they just go up and start shouting, and the judiciary has been bribed. The judiciary, because these people are not sanctioned. When the tribunal brought out its judgment, it read out the full judgment, so that if you have any issue, because they don't have a right of reply, it is already contained in that judgment. The Supreme Court looked at the merit and said, see, elections are won in polling units. They are won in polling units, and results are collated. They are not based on sentiments on social media. People who have been crying that we were rigged, show us the result that was falsified. One result has not been presented. But they went to social media because they want our democracy to be democracy by the majority on social media, for the majority on social media and for the populace of Nigeria. It cannot work. It cannot work. There is a process. I was part of the election process, and when people tell me that the election was rigged, because I had accreditation on that day, and I went from one polling unit to another polling unit as a journalist, I did not see anywhere where after the results were announced, people began to fight. In fact, they were jubilating, and those who lost, they smiled and said, no problem. They went. We even interviewed several of them who told us that the election was free and fair. All of a sudden, on social media, people who did not go more than one polling unit, they just went to one polling unit to vote. In that their polling unit, they did not complain that it was rigged. They started saying the whole process was manipulated. That is why I asked this question. Do we want democracy as Nigerians? Look at the case of Zamfara, the case of Rivers. There are procedures. The court said that there was no election. You cannot declare a government a winner when there are 3 local governments, the election was not conducted, results were not collated. That is an aberration of the entire process. And the court said, go back and conduct election in that local government. And what I hear is that Nigerians are shouting, the judiciary, this party wants to. We know the truth. The painful thing about politicians is that when they lie to you, they know they are lying. They know they are telling you lies. And they know that you know that they are lying. Yet they want to convince you to believe and accept the lies which they are peddling.
Because of our sentiments.
Because of sentiments. Affiliation to political parties, affiliation to ethnic and religious bias. That was for Zamfara. Now, Plateau, you will be shocked that a lot of people shouting about the Plateau judgment, they have not picked up the copy of that judgment
to read.
They have not exercised look at the reasons.
Just a moment, please. We have a caller here. Hello, good morning. Hello? I think we lost that. Okay, let's see. Your line is reading. You can call us back. I think we lost him. You can call us back on 0903 2229797 or 0818-222205 or 0818-222206. Call us back and we will be glad to take your call. Okay, Amadi.
Now another issue is, I keep on telling people that there is no new judgment. Remember, once upon a time, the court declared that in Rivers State, a party did not have a right to have a candidate because the court looked at the process and said that these people did not conduct primaries.
And congresses.
Congresses.
They had no structure.
The heavens did not fall. Are you understanding? Heavens did not fall. So when you see people who come out and try to twist events and make it look as if the judiciary are not doing their work, for me, I find it very offensive, and I say it should be unacceptable.
Okay, Amadi, just a minute, please. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, Mr. Benson calling from Abuja.
Okay.
Good morning to your guest there.
Yeah, you can hear.
I want to disagree with him to some extent because election and tribunal cases, election is a question of numbers, human activities counted by human beings, organized by professors or conducted by professors. Now, when you have these exercises done by human beings near you, counted by a professor who's supposed to know more than even a classroom teacher, at the end of the day, it will be so symbolic. Now, when you get to judiciary, for you as a judiciary to judge electoral matters, You asked for the manual for the conduct of the election, which is the Electoral Act. Where did each result fall short of the manual? Because if you are playing football, you don't judge football cases with Nigerian law. It's FIFA rules about football that you use. If you want to judge election, you take Electoral Act, which was given by ANEC, backed by law, to judge electoral cases. Every polling unit, every polling unit, every collection center have elected. Each party has their own representative, which is what do you call it? Their representative watching
party agents,
watching the conduct of the electoral officers, and nothing done by this electoral officer should be done in secrecy against this electoral observance, especially this representative of each political party. You cannot be handling my case in secrecy, which I know that you are a suspect. You are doing anything about counting my vote, collecting my
okay,
vote.
My brother, please, can you just round up? There are a lot of people on the line.
Even during an election day, even ANEC chairman's office should not be locked. Whatever he's doing about my exercise, which I'm a participant, I should be there as with my representative to see him, so that I will know when he change my figure or when he did not add up my figure. And I'll be there to tell him, sir, this 1 + 1 should be 2, not 1. So that we'll correct it before going out.
Okay.
So that he will finish checking up the whole thing in his own secret office. Then come out and announce whatever he wants to announce, and not tell me to go to court. When I have a different result, you're announcing a different result. How do you handle that? How do you explain that to us?
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Good morning. All right, Amadine, the man made so much allegations, very wide. I don't know. Okay, react to some of them.
Okay. First of all, he talked about inconsistency of results. If there are inconsistencies of results, who resolves it? Who resolves it? Mm-hmm. You go to the court, mm-hmm. and the court tells you present your proof. Mm-hmm. See the case of Kano. The court says the ballot papers are meant to be stamped and signed. We have over 100,000 that was not stamped and signed, which means anybody can print it and put it. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we will not recognize it. Does that sound like a court that wants to be biased or whatever? You see, there's an evil we have introduced into our system. And what is that evil? We need to weed that mentality away from us. That whenever a judgment is in your favor, the courts have done well. Whenever it is not in your favor, the courts have been compromised. I am not saying that the courts are perfect. But first of all, let us agree that we will respect the decisions of the courts.
Because that's why the parties were there in the first place.
Let us agree. That is the purpose of the judiciary. If you think that a judge has compromised, there are ways that you can tackle that issue. Show evidence. Not put on social media and disparage judges, insult judges, all in the name that because the judgment they gave was not in your favor. We have seen the National Judicial Council come down hard on several judges. Remember a case that happened in one of the southwestern states when a chief judge of the state was removed, and then another judge accepted that position. What did the NJC do? They sanctioned him for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So my point is this: if we must subscribe to the process, democracy is a system that should allow everybody have their say. Minority, majority, middle class, or whatever, but the majority will have their way. Mm-hmm. Elections are not. When some of these cases started, for us who are senior journalists, we look in anticipation to what you will produce. Let me go back to 2019 when the PDP took the APC to court. The PDP did not just take the APC to court and say, the PDP brought their own results and say, based on the server we got, this is the result. But what the court faulted was that you cannot build nothing, build something on nothing. The people said they didn't have server, that the law mandates them not to have server. How can you now bring result from a server and say it? Do you understand it? And that is the basis that a lot of these judgments are being made. If you did not conduct primary, you were not duly elected, how can you now participate in a general election and be a legitimate governor? That is the question we are asking. You cannot build nothing. You cannot build something on nothing. You cannot build legality on illegality. So our political class should tell themselves the truth and tell themselves that they are ready to subscribe to the constitution of their parties and internal party democracy, because you cannot disregard internal party democracy and now want to put on the toga, the paraphernalia of democracy.
All right, Amadi, we have Azubike on the line. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Ben calling back.
Oh, Ben, 60 seconds, please.
Based on what he just said now, when you go to court to sample their evidences in court, the primary person that should be called to testify should be not be more than those party agents who are there at the polling unit, collation centers, and the state collation centers. And the IRF or Beavers or whatever is all contained in INEC guideline. But in the charging Mr. Obi's case, INEC court told us that because Beavers couldn't work, shouldn't disqualify the whole exercise. But Beavers and IRF were backed by an act which is supposed to be followed by every contestant, relied upon as a working tool. But at the end of the day, INEC deceived us, connived with the judiciary, and judiciary now concurred that Beavers malfunctioning or IRF malfunctioning shouldn't stop the content.
Okay. I think you've spoken enough, but let it be clear that the Supreme Court dealt with that matter extensively. So,
Lawrence, let me add something to what he's saying, because he's misleading people.
Yes.
Let me tell you why I said he's misleading people. How many witnesses did the LP polling unit witnesses? That was part of the judgment. That is why I said people did not read the judgment, because the court said that you cannot claim that there were malpractices and did not bring out your agents at the polling unit, because we covered that case. How many political parties brought agents at the polling unit who came out clearly to say on this polling unit we recorded 200 votes and we recorded that so and so party won, but on the IRF we saw another one? No, not one. Not one. Then secondly, he's talking about the guidelines. He should go back and read the guidelines, because after the guidelines said that those results will be transmitted, he now said that he now added the clause that the commission has a right to choose any other method. So you don't. The truth about the matter is that, like I said, a lot of them who are aggrieved, they have not sat down to read these provisions for themselves. Because even us, we ask the questions. How many witnesses were produced? How many witnesses came during the tribunal hearing and they said, we bring this our agent at so and so polling unit. At his polling unit, he recorded 100 votes, but at the IRF, we saw 400 votes, and it was given to another person, not one.
Okay, Amadi, we need to make progress. Let's move on. In the last couple of weeks too, there seems to be feelers from the opposition camp that the opposition parties are trying to form a collaboration, a merger, or whatever you call it. There are signals. First, it was, I think, the candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who first threw the salvo. Now we also heard from the NNPP that, oh, well, this is a good thing for democracy. Is this something that we need?
Now, the truth about the matter is that for any democracy to thrive, you must have a viral opposition, an opposition that can checkmate the excesses of the ruling party. What we have lacked in the last few years is that we have not had a viral opposition. Sorry to say, we have just had people making noise, focusing on different things. Let me go back. Okay, let me go to the issue that is happening in Lagos State. I don't know if you are following the issue that is happening in Lagos State that has to do with public procurement, government expenses, and is opening the same in other states now. It took an opposition candidate to bring out to the public that this is the budget that the Lagos State government presented. I have looked at the expenses in the last how many months. This is how much they have expended. You saw how it has rattled the political foundation of Lagos State, that the ruling party now have to begin to explain themselves that, okay, you said this, but this is not the true position. That is how a viral democracy works.
An opposition.
Yes, an opposition is a key stakeholder in any viral democracy. So that when you see that the ruling party, whatever the ruling party, I'm not talking only at the federal level, at the state level, they do not just have free way to do what they want to do. This was what brought the discussion where we now saw that in some states, the money they budget for feeding at the government house is more than the money they budget for education of the entire state. Is the money they budget for health for the entire state. So just feeding a chunk of people a chunk of how many people is more than how much you budget for how many children who should go to school. These questions are now coming up in the public space. And when you have a viral opposition, true facts, genuine information, they push this agenda and force citizens to make that decision.
But Ahmadine, I am a little bit uncomfortable with that, because in the last 1 week, what I've seen, especially on the social media, is that when somebody says, oh, state A did this, why? Another person will say, is it only state A that did it? What of state B? State B also budgeted this. People are not questioning the intention and the laws being broken. People are using parochial interest to support candidates and interest.
That is why we go back to the issue of a viral opposition. A viral opposition is supposed to steer this conversation and make citizens set their eyes on the ball. We talk about the APC government, Lawrence. Remember, a lot of Nigerians who don't know the system always forget that the talks of merger did not start before 2015 election. In fact, we covered where they were meeting at the then Sheraton hotels here in Abuja, where the then president, a leader of the ACN, and other people from other parties, they would meet. We were there. Before 2015 election, they could not come together. They could not resolve their differences. So they still went against the then ruling party, which was the PDP, and the PDP trashed them.
That was 2010.
Yes, for the 2011 election.
Yes.
The PDP trashed them. And so what happened? When they came back after the 2011 election, they had to put their ego and arrogance aside and say, see, because in a partnership, you can't get all. You have to let some things go. So that was when you saw the new PDP, you saw the ANPP, you saw the ACN, you saw the CPC. Everybody had to give something away, and they came together, and they were able to unseat the ruling government. Now, if the opposition, in their own estimation, say that the APC have not done well, I think the first thing they need to do is to think of a merger. For me, that is the right step, because this is the first election where, imagine, you saw the Labour Party had 6-point-something million votes. The PDP had 6-point-something million votes. The NNPP had 1-point-something million votes. When you add it together, you get 13-point-something million votes. But the winning party, the APC, had 8-point-something million votes. So you see that if they were together, we would not have been talking about an APC government. So maybe they now are now getting to see in their own realization of the foolhardy of their ways.
In the past.
Before the elections, that for you to unseat a ruling, and it has not only happened in Nigeria, it has happened in several countries around the world.
Even Liberia.
Yes, where the opposition come together and say, see, we only have a chance if we can unite. So, but So for them to move forward, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, he has said it before, and a lot of them downplayed it and said we are not interested. He had made a call again in the last few days. Now parties like the NNPP are saying, let's consider it. Now it's better for me, if they really want to have an opportunity or at a goal at the next election, it is at this time they begin to set their house in order, build a foundation of a viral opposition. Now that viral opposition should not just be saddled with people who their specialty is just to throw insults and talk about irrelevant issues. This government has set out its own master plan, its own reform agenda, its own key pillars, which it believes that it wants to deliver the dividends of democracy to Nigeria. Now start interrogating those pillars, interrogating how the funds are coming in, interrogating their performance, interrogating what their modus operandi, and not just interrogating it. Start telling citizens a better way to achieve these results. That way, citizens will take you seriously, and during an election, you can have a shot. For me, I think it's a plus for our democracy. It's the right way for them to go. If they can put their egos aside, come together, I think they might have an opportunity. But that will also depend on the performance of the current administration.
Well, Ahmadine, before we go, there's something I really want us to look at. Yesterday, the service chiefs were at the National Assembly, the House of Reps, and naturally issues of security came up. This is your forte, security issues. The Chief of Defense Staff made some very profound observation. One, he expressed discomfort with the attitude of the judiciary, according to him, how they handle terrorism suspects. What do you think about this?
Now, like I said, that is for him, from his perspective, that is right. But like I say, if we want to practice democracy, we must place the blame on squarely on the table of where it is.
And in this case,
you cannot, the judiciary, like I say, will only interpret the law. What the service chiefs, thank God they made it. They made it in the presence of the lawmakers who are saddled with the responsibility of making laws. And I hope that those comments by the CDS should sink into the medulla oblongata of lawmakers, because if the lawmakers will tell themselves the truth, the solution, the problem does not lie with the judiciary, it lies with them, the lawmakers. Why don't the lawmakers enact laws that will make us have accelerated hearing of terrorism cases? It happens in Chad here, just neighboring Chad here. It happens in our neighbor. Within 1 month, they have dispensed with those cases. Why should Nigeria's cases take years? It's not the judiciary, like I say. The judiciary will take time, look at evidence, take time. But if you put it in the laws, part of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, also make a separate provision, accelerated hearing. Those who are fighting for corruption say they want accelerated hearing for corruption cases. The military now, security agencies through the federal government, they need to also, maybe this federal government should propose an executive bill or dialogue with the lawmakers and ensure that, see, terrorism cases should not last 1 month. Once you are arrested, they look at evidence, they dispense this thing. So that allegation,
or creation of special courts.
Yes, special courts. That is, you see, we have now turned the judiciary to whipping dogs, the whipping dogs, those who bear the brunt. Meanwhile, the judiciary will tell you, I'm not a lawyer, but I've covered cases as a journalist. I know that the judiciary, no matter how genuine your case is, the judiciary will look at evidence. And because they have, so maybe at this point in time, we should be talking about reforms that will speed up cases. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act was enacted and passed several years ago. We should be talking about a review. How much has happened? How much has this changed the course of our criminal justice system? Has it corrected the mistakes we try to correct? This is where the lawmakers we now need to step in and say, we have not achieved this. Let's try another method.
The CDS also pointedly spoke about some diplomatic issue, the issue of Finland, and his impression that Finland seems to be protecting Simon Ekpa. He was really specific about it, and even suggesting that maybe the lawmakers or the Nigerian government, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, could even invite the ambassador to trash this issue.
Now remember that Finland is a country on its own. It has its own laws. There are ways that these are handled through diplomatic channels. Either go and sign an agreement with that government. You sign an agreement with that government, and they also look at how important you are to them diplomatically. There are ways at these channels. So that means if the security agencies are making this call, it's not only the federal government, even those in our foreign ministry. The president, what he needs to do is need to call the Minister of Foreign Affairs and say, how do we resolve this issue? Because it is an issue that that affects our national security, affects our country as a whole. The Chief of Defense Staff, kudos to these revelations they have made, because they are the ones who have boots on the ground, who are losing men every day, who are blamed when there's an escalation in insecurity, who are blamed whenever there is a major security incident. So they will always tell you that this is the way to go. I also think that that the lawmakers too, who these revelations have been told, they have committees. They can also, through channels, engage with the executive and say, why don't we look for a way? If the executive are foot dragging on this issue, they say we also have, because they have defense committees, they have intelligence committees,
even foreign affairs.
Yes, through those committees, they engage with those in the executive and see how this issue, because this issue of Simon Ekpa is a really is a worrisome issue, because you cannot sit in one place and be instigating violence in another country and say, because you are, it should tell us whether he wants to be a Finnish citizen or a Nigerian citizen. And then the federal government should be able to, the Finnish government, I know a few months ago, the federal government, towards the twilight of the last administration, the Minister of Foreign Affairs had called the Finnish ambassador and has expressed Nigeria's displeasure. So I don't know how much that was followed up or whether it went with the last administration. But I think that there are ways that these issues can be handled.
Okay, Amadine, very briefly because of time, the CDS also said nothing trumps good governance. That if there is good governance, half of insecurity issues will just die.
That is the gospel truth. Go to the Scandinavian countries. I heard that in some of those countries, their prisons, they are closing prisons. We talked about it where a government is budgeting over 900 million naira for bank charges. What kind of transactions are you making? In how many months? Where you are budgeting over 900 million naira for feeding and refreshment, then you have only about 100 and something million for education. Does that look like a government that is serious? But like I always say, there's a responsibility of government to citizens, and there's a responsibility of citizens to government. Shamefully, citizens have failed in their responsibilities in calling government to account. They have failed in their responsibility in calling their state governors to account, because in some of those states it's like a bazaar,
and even local government.
Nobody talks, nobody questions. There were I watched a video yesterday, I think early this morning, where the former president was complaining. You issue about 300 million as local government funds for development in the local government. The state governor withholds the funds, calls the local government chairman okay, how much is your wage bill? Your wage bill is 60 million. Transfer it. I'm going to send 40 million extra for the local government running expenses. Now sign that you collected 300 million. And they are forced to sign. And then the governor uses the remaining 200 million for whatever he wants to use for. And then that local government chairman who has 40 million, he goes and puts 3 street lights on a street and use the remaining to buy bulletproof SUV. Say he has to protect himself as a local government chairman.
Okay.
So what are we saying as a people? Are we serious about democracy? Are we serious about delivering the dividends of citizens? Now, the security experts have told us, you can be enjoying these largesse, but I want to tell you, the time will come when you will not be able to sleep with 2 eyes closed.
All right, I think this is a good place to call it a wrap. I'm Adi Nui, Bureau Chief, News Central, and Head of Northern Operation. Thank you so much for being part of the show.
Thank you, Lawrence.
All right, so that's our package today. Tomorrow will be another day when we'll come up with another topic. My name is Lawrence Omoete. Enjoy the rest of your day.